In a peaceful and happy kingdom, everyone gathered to witness a beautiful wedding. Marie, wearing a white wedding dress, slowly walked up the stairs toward a nobleman named Kairos. They were about to be married. But the truth was, Marie was never supposed to be the bride. The wedding was meant for her older sister. Baron Shadowrun had two daughters. His eldest, Anastasia, was cheerful, friendly, and beautiful with golden hair, just like a real princess. Marie, the younger sister, was the complete opposite. She was tall, off, and dirty, and acted more like a boy. She spent her days reading books and working like a maid for her family. Each day, Marie woke up in a small, dark hut where she lived alone. It wasn't a place fit for a lady. Her family was not too rich, so she did most of the work. She washed up quickly at a nearby well, then went to her family's house to cook. Her parents, Anastasia, and their younger brother, Cedric, all ate together at a bright dining table. Marie, however, had to eat leftover scraps alone in the dirty kitchen. At night, she worked in her father's place, balancing the family's money and signing papers using his name, using only a small lamp for light. Once finished, she would quietly wash again at the well, staring up at the stars. Tomorrow was her birthday. She only wished for one good day. The next day, the Shadowrun family hosted a big banquet. Nobles filled the hall and music played. Anastasia looked stunning in her fancy gown. Cedric commented on her beauty, and everyone seemed to admire her. Marie stood quietly off to the side, wearing a plain dress with messy hair. Then her father stood up and gave a speech. He thanked everyone for coming and announced that Anastasia was the star of the night. Marie lowered her head, realizing the truth. This wasn't a birthday celebration for her. It was her sister's debut party arranged to help her find a fiancé. Feeling heartbroken, Marie ran out of the hall. She walked quickly through the corridors and into the garden. Sitting by the pond, she stared at her reflection and felt ashamed of her appearance. Then a man approached and asked her for directions. Marie silently pointed him in the right direction. The man assumed she was a maid, but his companion corrected him, saying that the Shadowruns only employed one elderly servant. Understanding that Marie must be one of the Baron's daughters, the man apologized for the mistake. Marie noticed his formal clothing and realized he was from Ipsandra. She mentioned this, surprising the man with her accuracy. She spoke about Ipsandrian traditions and even shared a story about a red raggedy cat from their folklore. The man, whose name was Kairos, was impressed by her knowledge. Their conversation flowed easily. But then Marie remembered her father's warnings. He had always said that women shouldn't show off what they know. Suddenly embarrassed, she apologized and tried to leave. Kairos gently stopped her and looked at her kindly. Marie froze. His flawless face made her feel plain and worthless. Tears filled her eyes. Kairos apologized again for mistaking her identity but remained curious about why she wore such simple clothes. Marie answered honestly, saying it was because she wasn't pretty. Kairos responded by pulling her closer and telling her she was beautiful. Hearing those words was too much for Marie. She quickly told him where to find her sister and walked away in tears. She ran through the woods and returned to her tiny house. No matter how kind Kairos had been, her sadness wouldn't go away. A month later, a letter arrived at the Shadowrun home. It was a marriage proposal for Anastasia from Count Granado, a rich and powerful noble expected to become a duke. Their father was overjoyed and immediately ordered Marie to write a formal reply and send announcements to all nearby nobles and relatives. Later, Anastasia spoke to Marie in private. She admitted she was nervous about marrying a man whose face she couldn't remember. She had also heard troubling rumors about him disliking women. Marie tried to stay hopeful, pointing out that the letter at least sounded full of passion. Their mood lifted when the topic shifted to fashion. Anastasia had a secret love for designing suits for man. Since Marie was tall, the suits always looked good on her. Anastasia brought out one of her hidden outfits and made Marie promise to keep it a secret. Their parents had once destroyed her designs after finding out about her interest. Anastasia dreamed of starting a clothing business in the capital if their family ever became poor. She encouraged Marie to follow her own talents too. The two sisters loved each other deeply, but tragedy struck. Anastasia died in an accident on her way to meet Count Granado. Marie was devastated. She remembered how her sister had once told her the story of the red raggedy cat, and the memory brought tears to her eyes. As she sat remembering, her mother suddenly slapped her hard. Marie fell to the floor. Her mother screamed in anger, blaming Marie for Anastasia's death. She said that Marie should have died instead. Her rage continued until her father arrived and pulled her away, not out of concern for Marie, but to make sure there were no visible bruises. Her father then decided to send Marie to Count Granado in Anastasia's place. The family had already used up their wealth to prepare for the wedding. He told Marie this was the only way she could make up for everything. Though it didn't make sense, Marie began to believe she was at fault simply for being born. A few days later, Marie traveled with her father to the Count's estate. During the carriage ride, he kept reminding her how to behave, insulting her the entire time. Marie quietly agreed with everything and tried to smile, though he mocked even that. At the gate of the estate, the guards refused them entry. The letter had only arrived that morning. Her father became angry and tried to attack the maid who spoke to them, but she quickly defended herself and pinned him to the ground. Just then, Marie stepped out of the carriage. As she lowered her head, her veil slipped off. The maid immediately recognized her and called her Lady Marie. She introduced herself as Mio and ordered the guards to alert the count. Inside Kairos, the same man Marie had met in the garden was furious when he learned that Anastasia's sister had come in her place. But when he saw Marie's face, his anger vanished. Marie was shocked to discover that the man she had met in the garden was actually Count Granado himself. Her father explained Anastasia's death, but when he tried to speak badly of Marie, Kairos gave him a cold warning stare. Calmly, Kairos announced that Marie would stay the night at the palace. Mio brought Marie to a private room and served her food. When Marie asked where her father was, Mio explained that he was in a meeting with Count Granado. As Mio prepared tea, Marie identified the blend and named the spices. Mio was impressed by her knowledge and sincere appreciation. Not long after, Kairos arrived at the door. Marie bowed and apologized again for her father. Kairos explained that her father had already left and taken the engagement gifts to Anastasia's grave. Kairos then asked if she was being mistreated at home. Marie said no. In her mind, her family's coldness was just tough training. She believed they were trying to help her survive, but Kairos thought otherwise. He remembered the clothes she wore at the banquet. Those clothes are for widows and servants, and became more certain that she had been abused. When he asked if she was unhappy, Marie couldn't answer. She had never allowed herself to hope for anything more. Kairos then gave Mio a quiet order to take her away. In her mind, Marie thought she was being sent away because she wasn't beautiful enough. But Mio smiled warmly and led her to a private bath. Marie assumed she was there to clean, but Mio explained that bath was meant for her. Inside, a bath caretaker named Tunica helped her undress and prepared a large tub filled with warm water and flower petals. Tunica gently washed her hair and skin, promising she would shine like a new person by the end. Marie slowly relaxed and even fell asleep in the warm bath. That evening, Kairos waited at the stairs. When Marie appeared, she looked like a completely different person. Her hair was smooth, her dress elegant, and her skin glowing. Even she couldn't believe how she looked in the mirror. One look at Marie leaves Kairos speechless. It truly feels as if she has been reborn. Kairos called his mother, Lulu, to meet her. Lulu studied Marie carefully from head to toe. As the head of the family, Lulu's approval was needed for the marriage to happen. After a long silence, Lulu finally said that Marie lacked something. Kairos was ready to defend her, but Lulu continued. What Marie lacked was confidence. She said Marie needed to learn how to carry herself with pride if she was to marry a duke, but she also said there was still time to learn. Mio congratulated Marie. It was only then that she realized Lulu had accepted her. The engagement was official, the room filled with cheers, but Marie stood frozen. Then finally she screamed she couldn't do it. That night, while gazing at the stars and sipping his wine, Kairos can't help but recall how lovely she is. But Mio soon pulls him back to reality. Marie has just rejected his marriage proposal. The memory hits him like a blow, and Kairos slumps onto the table in tears, unwilling to hear it repeated. Still, Mio reminds him it is her duty to deliver the truth. She adds without hesitation that he proposed to the wrong sister that night. It's true that the evening had been Marie's birthday, and no one would have guessed that the quiet girl sitting in the dark was the birthday girl herself. Kairos' father, Count Alfred Granado, had 2 wives. As children, Kairos and a girl used to share stories while arguments echoed down the halls from the Count's 2 households. His official wife was Lady Laura, a noblewoman, while his concubine was Lulu, a traveler from Ipsandros and Kairos' mother. One day, while chasing butterflies in the garden, young Kairos tripped and fell to his knees, crying loudly. Lady Laura approached and offered him a piece of sweet pastry. With just one bite, Kairos brightened. Laura smiled and admitted she had baked it herself. She teased him for trusting her so easily, but he was too taken by the flavor to mind. When she asked what other sweets he liked, he eagerly listed them, and Laura confessed her own love for sweets, explaining that baking helped her forget unpleasant things. Before leaving, she promised to make him chocolate cookies next time, and Kairos looked forward to it with innocent joy. Years later, Count Alfred summoned Lulu and Kairos for a private meeting. Despite Lady Laura being the official wife, all of her children were daughters, which meant only Kairos, the son of the concubine, could inherit the dukedom. Both Liu and Kairos were stunned. But the one most shaken was Lady Laura, who had been quietly eavesdropping outside the door. Then, one sorrowful night, a scream of grief rang through the castle. Kairos rushed toward the sound and found all his sisters gathered around Lady Laura's lifeless body. A half-eaten cookie lay in her hand, and beside her, a small vial of poison. Kairos was stunned. The woman who had once shown him such kindness had chosen death. After her passing, Lulu was offered the position of the official wife, but she refused. Instead, she left the Duke's estate, taking Kairos with her. Over the years, Kairos earned the title of Count through his own merit. Still, he held no affection for noble society. He avoided their gatherings, rejected marriage proposals from noble families, and tore up invitations bearing old family names. Eventually, Kairos made a rare appearance at a noble party. His friend Rufun teased him for finally showing up, though Kairos reminded him he only came because Rufun had personally invited him. As they chatted, Rufun handed him another invitation, this one from a rural baron. Apparently, the baron had sent invitations to every unmarried nobleman. The Shatterin family's financial struggles were no secret, and everyone knew the so-called birthday celebration was just a way to showcase the baron's daughter for potential marriage. Though Kairos found the gesture distasteful, rumors described the daughter as a rare beauty. Rufun, already engaged, had no intention of going. Kairos, though free to attend, initially chose not to. While he debated it, a blonde woman approached and offered him sweets. After he accepted one, she blushed and hurried away. Kairos was used to noble women favoring him only for his title and wealth. Beneath their polite smiles, he knew they looked down on Ipsandrians. Even now, whispers in the halls reminded him of their disdain. Though Rufun sympathized with him, he reminded Kairos that he couldn't remain unmarried forever. Without a wife, there would be no heir to continue the line. As he left, Rufun remarked that he was eager to meet the woman who might finally move Kairos' heart. Those words lingered. Glancing again at the invitation, Kairos reconsidered. Perhaps the daughter of a struggling household would be a practical match. If marriage was to be a mere arrangement, then someone manageable would suffice. Kairos never expected to fall in love until that night he met Marie. Marie's fascination with Ipsandrian culture completely disarmed him. He had fallen for her, yet somehow he had let her slip away. At the gathering, he saw Baron Shatterin entertaining guests. When he asked about the Baron's daughter, he was pointed toward a blonde girl, the star of the night. The Baron had two daughters, the elder Anastasia and the younger Marie. Since it was Marie's birthday, Kairos assumed the quiet girl he'd spoken to was Anastasia. Realizing his mistake, he searched the estate for the quiet girl from the garden, but she was nowhere to be found. So he sent a formal letter requesting the hand of Baron Shatterin's elder daughter, Anastasia. When her reply came, Kairos spared no expense to prepare. He arranged jewels, dresses, maids, even a body pillow to ease his sleepless nights. But tragedy struck. News arrived that her carriage had fallen. His heart shattered. Only then did the truth emerge. The girl he had fallen for was not Anastasia, but Marie, younger daughter. Back in the present, Mio tried again to pull Kairos from his sorrow. He winced, unwilling to hear the truth aloud, but Mio pressed on. She reminded him that when Marie arrived at the castle, transformed, he rejected her without knowing. On her very first day, he had her sent away. To Marie, it must have seemed like he was disgusted. No wonder she believed he wanted nothing to do with her. Kairos now hoped that clearing up the misunderstanding might mend things. Mio agreed. After all, he was the only one truly in love. Together, they went to Marie's quarters, hoping to see her smile. In her room, Marie stared at her reflection. Her tattered clothes and messy hair had been replaced overnight, and the transformation made her nearly unrecognizable. Her thoughts scattered at the sound of a knock. When Mio and Kairos entered, Marie bowed her head immediately and apologized. She admitted she panicked during the proposal and acted improperly. Kairos, understanding her distress, pulled her to stop bowing. When she looked up, he saw her clearly and blushed. Mio stepped on his foot discreetly to bring him back to his senses. With a steady breath, Kairos began to explain. He assured Marie that he didn't hate her. Not at all. He believed she had come to the castle of her own will. Regardless of the confusion, his feelings were sincere. He wanted her to be his wife. To his surprise, Marie accepted. She explained that she had been shocked earlier and had meant to refuse. She never intended to reject him and had understood the situation from the start. She believed the marriage to be one of convenience. After all, Kairos had fallen for the beautiful Anastasia, or so she thought. Now, with Anastasia gone, the burden fell on her. Marie, the useless younger sister. She accepted this and even said Kairos could treat her however he wished. Kairos was stunned by her self-deprecation. He explained again that while his intentions began as political, his feelings had changed. The letter he had written, though addressed to Anastasia, was meant for the girl he had met in the garden. She nodded, saying she knew his feelings had been meant for someone else. That was exactly why she misunderstood everything. Kairos wanted to say more, but the bell rang. It was time for dinner. At dinner, Marie was stunned by the richness of the food. She had never eaten anything like it. Before she could comment, Kairos put down his utensils. He could wait no longer. He confessed that the letter had never been meant for Anastasia. He had confused the names. The one he had fallen for was Marie. Though she responded politely, Kairos could see that she didn't believe him. She thought he was only trying not to hurt her feelings. Deep inside, she believed he was marrying her out of convenience. She assumed that in time he would take a concubine and she would return to her old life. Still, she didn't mind. She had lived that way before. She could live that way again. Later, during tea, Kairos gently told her he loved her. Mary found the idea absurd and remained silent. Her lack of response unsettled him, but he continued. Regardless of how she felt now, their engagement would proceed. The ceremony was set in 3 months and he would handle all the arrangements. Before he could leave, Marie asked for a favor. She wanted to return home once before the betrothal. She explained that her father expected her to serve as a one-night comfort and be cast aside. She wanted to hear his final instructions herself. The request frustrated Kairos. He told her he would need time to consider it. Not long after, Mio brought news. Marie was forbidden from returning home. If her family wanted to visit, they would need Kairos' permission. Then gently, Mio asked a question she had long kept to herself. She wanted to know why Marie believed she was ugly. After a long pause, Marie revealed that her parents had made sure she saw her reflection only when she was ragged and dirty. Sympathizing, Mio took her hands and encouraged her to see her true self in the mirror. That night, alone in her room, Marie gazed at her reflection. She thought of Mio's words, but deep down, she believed she had never truly seen the real her. She sat on the edge of the bed and her expression changed as she sank into the soft mattress. Lying down, she stared at the ceiling in quiet wonder. The palace, the clothes, the maids, and the count who now wanted to marry her. It all felt like a fleeting dream. One she feared would vanish when she awoke. Even as she tried to sleep, Kairos' words echoed in her mind. And even if it was just a dream, she wished it could last a little longer. When morning came, she instinctively rose to begin her chores. But the sunlight streaming in reminded her where she was. She closed her eyes again, unable to believe it. Soon, Mio arrived with 2 attendants. As they bowed, Marie instinctively bowed even lower. Mio gently reminded her to be at ease. Now that she was the Count's fiancé, they would serve her needs from this day forward. Hannah and Lisa, the 2 attendants, were now by her side. That marks the end of today's animerecap. If you enjoyed the video and want more of it, please support the channel by leaving a like and subscribe. Let's help us reach a current goal of 10K subscribers.